See if it worked. All right, welcome to the Hideaway Hills Management Meeting as of September 28th, 2021. All the management committee is present. No board member here tonight yet. We'll get started here. We have no invited guests tonight. So we'll move right into the numbers. Jeff Harper is excused tonight. He is home recovering from some surgery, so he'll be back online later this week, hopefully. Capital fund total, 393, 894. Our depreciation fund total is 343, 335. Any questions on that?
Nope.
Can we have a party when we get that 6,000, whatever it is, to beat 400,000? That'll be a good thing.
Good thing.
Yep.
Yes, it will.
We do not have, did not get the numbers from Penny today for the fund balances. I'll make a note. We'll try to go over that at the first meeting in October. Normally Jeff gets that together for us, but anyway, let's move on to discussion items. Traffic safety. So member Paul Bauer would like to see guardrails strengthened on curves that have them. I think some of the posts may be deteriorating, which I know we probably have some posts to change those out. So we'll just have to task Brick to go around and check all those here when they get done. As soon as kind of the mowing dies off, that's kind of a project that maintenance usually does, goes around, checks all the posts for rot, tears them out. I know when we get the chip seal done, hopefully tomorrow and Thursday, then we'll reline those roads that are affected. And I know there's some additional roads that members have called out.
Was there a particular situation that caused him to bring that up, or just a general?
I've noticed a few places too where some of the posts are starting to lean, and I think coming up, well, just past your house going up my way, it looks like on first curve to the left there, it looks like somebody's run into them because they're all loose in a line.
They're leaning.
Yeah, I think it's just a general.
Yeah, I think Rick will route
they
through
start the dirt roads are right around the bottom, and some of them are
Right.
then do get rotten, and we have to periodically replace them, but probably put some dirt around them too.
When will the sweeping take place?
Approximately 10 days after the
Okay.
seal, we'll watch the night temps, and also if we get some good rains, we may not, it may take care of itself, but that's kind of what we're looking for.
I'm just wondering how long it was, because again, that's going to be another dusty duty depending on how dry the roads are, and just make sure we have membership.
So will they bring in like a regular road sweeper?
It'll be a pickup sweeper, and then
So it'll be less dust.
yes,
than-
yeah, it's designed to reduce the amount of dust, and
It reduces, it doesn't stop.
right, no, it doesn't stop, but yeah.
So we apologize if anybody's vehicle gets dusty, but we are trying to take care of the dust this year and the loose stone.
I did that in my past life.
All right. Any questions on traffic safety?
Procedures for vehicles that may be parked through the path tomorrow?
The best we can do is just try to, if the members there, try to get them to move stuff. I'm hoping people get their stuff moved tonight, even with the short notice. That's why I tried to put it on Facebook to let people know. Mary Lane, I know there's vehicles. I don't know about High Lane. I don't typically see a lot of vehicles parked along that road. But if you have vehicles, please get them moved away from the road so they don't get dust or any sealant splashed on them, including trailers.
Or to make sure we can get it covered, because they're not coming back.
Yeah. So appreciate everyone's support with that.
Yes.
Anything else with traffic safety?
Not for me.
Nope.
All right. Kind of on a not so great note, our RFID gate implementation took a setback today. Our vendor decided to opt out and not participate, so we're basically back to square one. I didn't think that this was a complicated implementation for them, but they chose not to participate. So we need to regroup, find out if there's any additional vendors out there that want to bid on this and basically restart over. Anybody want to start contacting anyone?
Maybe what I'll start with this time is I'll put together an RFP so that we can tell them what we want. And I think that was some of the issue, with Signature. It wasn't, the expectations weren't clear on our standpoint, so I think we need to start there, and I can put that together, and I
It
did.
couldn't hurt, but I don't think that's a reason for them to have backed out on it.
No, but I think
mean-
it sets us up, it puts us in a better
Oh,
position.
it'll put us in a better, right? I
And-
agree
and
with you.
anytime you tell
absolutely.
somebody what you want, it's easy for them to do it. They don't have to be mind readers. So,
Fair enough.
I found, I really don't have time to be calling right now, but I found 2 or 3 locals or Columbus on the internet. I'll see if I can track those down and get them out to everybody. And then if possibly next week I'll clear up and I'll have some time to call if I need to and get some
Okay.
looked in. But like I say, no sense getting anybody on hook until we get
yeah.
an
Well,
RFP
I
figured
can
out.
work-
So
I'll start working on that.
Okay,
this week.
all right. I'll look those up. They were, I mean, they were more aimed toward parking lots, but that's the same thing that we're doing now. It's no
Yeah.
difference. So yeah.
Yeah. And looking at everything too, I mean, it's really not that difficult to do. It's, the big piece of it is the software so that you can manage all the tags. That's
Yeah, all the
that's
different
the largest-
individual parts you can buy, but you gotta buy,
Yeah.
like you say, that programming to make it all.
Okay. So we're going to start over, start looking at this again. I guess at this point, we'll probably target hopefully a spring implementation. Give us some time to work out some of the details, I guess.
Do you have any idea why Steve backed out?
They just said they didn't want to participate in this implementation. It was overly complicated.
Change the specs from the last time Jeff got a quote?
No.
No, we came back with some
We had
questions.
some questions on the details on there, and then also a couple questions on the Ts and Cs that we didn't like. So sent that back to him, and I can give you, I mean, his reply was, after speaking with our operations manager and lead installer, they do not feel that this is a project that Signature Control is willing to take on. We do appreciate the opportunity and sorry for the inconvenience to all your members. So.
It's just time to dealing with Steve for trying to get quotes from him for a couple, 3 or 4 years I was getting quotes from him, and for this, the implementation just took so long. I don't know if that would happen. I thought last time he came out and met with Jeff and Randall and Rick, I thought everything was right on target, but I don't know, then it got the slowdown happen again.
Well, there were some items in his proposal that needed clarification. And so I asked those questions, and then there were some other ones just from a technical standpoint that just, needed additional work on it because they didn't make sense, right? Based on temperature ratings of some of the equipment and, things like that. So it was, just what I believed is just normal questions or clarifications on there.
Yeah,
So-
the heater in the
Yeah, heater
that
and the
was,
control
I had
panel.
no idea.
Signature still doing our service on our units, our other units currently here in Hideaway Hills, or?
Yes, I mean, they're still the provider for the actual gate controllers for most of the ones we have.
That's why it's
service.
such a natural, because they're already in here. It's kind of shocking to me that they came out, but,
Mhm.
Yeah,
okay.
yeah, I guess business is good.
Or bad.
Well, also supply chains, there's a lot of problems with people trying to find supplies.
That's what I meant by bad. It could be
Yeah.
they just can't get everything together to do it even maybe.
Yeah.
But
So we'll get an RFIP together. We'll start some new vendors. Hopefully we can get somebody
This is-
online over the
this
summer,
is
winter.
gonna have to go back. We had a hard time getting the quotes last time.
I know.
The only time I got a quote from someone in Florida that I saw put a system in a long time ago. He gave us a quote, but he was gonna fly from Florida, but that's. information again if you need it. This is,
Yeah, can you
I-
forward that to one of us?
I can help on the Google thing, at least put some emails out and say, this is what we need. How many gates, new gates we're looking at and control system with the RFID tags, and just let me put a feeler out, at least see if everybody has the materials to put it in, if they're interested to bid on something.
Well, I'm sure they're gonna have, I don't think they're gonna have really everything in stock, right? It's not normally something that I think somebody would stock, but
Well, if they're in the business, I would think it would maybe, but I don't know.
I don't know.
I-
We'll have to look a little closer.
I do think we need to go to our Ohio Lakes Committee group and see who has the system, who put it in, how it works. I know there's a place down, I think it's called Lake Choctaw, but it's down in southwest Ohio, and I'm pretty sure they have an RFID gate system already in place. So maybe we need to lean on those groups and find out, Jeff can call and find out what they have and who is their provider.
Good idea. Yep.
Very good.
All right, Capex List is next on our list. This Capex List was based on just a kind of a brainstorming session of, things we kind of threw out last meeting. We needed to get them down, start getting some numbers around this stuff. I'd like to go through each of these items. Maybe some of them come off the list. Maybe we add some more. Some of these items, the first few items, are things Jeff had on here because we kind of knew the cost of the RFID gate system, which will obviously push out to 2022. And the rest of the items I kind of threw kind of a wild ass guess of the numbers. So let's kind of go through these RFID gates. I think we'll just keep the numbers we have on there, which is about 56 grand. Basketball court renovation. Again, that's an unknown. Chancey's doing a good job raising some money through the community. He's got an anonymous member willing to pay for the professional backboards, but he was looking at trying to get quotes for asphalt. Kind of gave him a heads up that you probably got about a month and a half. You may not even get that done this year. Also threw out the idea to him, maybe concrete with an epoxy surface would be better. It's obviously going to cost more, but he's still kind of running the traps on what kind of surface he wants, and then we'll see what he gets for donations. And go from there. I put $10,000 of club money for that. I don't know what that number is right now. Any questions on that, or
No.
until we know what we get in donations and what the total costs are, we'll just keep that as a placeholder. Lodge electrical improvements. I put 18 grand. That's what we agreed to on. The board voted to agree to DeBoer. Marty, I don't know what the actual electrical line's gonna cost.
Yeah, we're still working out budget numbers on that because I don't want to be careful, right? Because it's been approved doesn't mean we have to spend it, right?
No.
So we want to look at the overall plan and see what the total budget is. And so we're working on that. Jim Schmidt's helping me out with that so that we can put together everything else so we can see the full picture from a financial standpoint and a timeline on when it's going to be phased in, because I don't think we're going to want to do it all at one time.
Gotcha. I mean, we can put this in 3 different,
Right.
you
But
know,
it's
you could
gonna,
have boring, you could have,
yeah, and because this 18,000 is for the boring only.
yeah, I knew.
And then there's going to be more, but I'd rather get a better, clearer picture on the whole total price.
Do you think that's gonna happen this year, or is that gonna be a 2-year project, or?
Probably 3.
Okay. Sooner you can get me some numbers, we'll pop them in here. We
Yeah.
can we can put it on this list in 3-year phases.
Okay.
Are we still looking at the boring this year, though?
Probably, but we're gonna,
I just think any boring we have while we have them here, we're not gonna have to pay an additional cost to have them move equipment in. I mean, it's here right now if we can.
Yeah, but I'm still working with South Central on the transformer. Actually, both transformers and who's gonna pay for all of that and how that's gonna work. So I'm still waiting. I'm waiting on a call back from them.
I think if we can to get that put in while they're here is probably gonna put us ahead a few $1,000s instead of having to pay them to come back. If you can get that
Yeah,
clearance and know exactly what we need.
yeah, yeah. No, we know what we need. It's just a matter of the rest of it. How is that gonna fall into place? And I don't want to get too far ahead of it, right, with spending the money, so.
Fair enough. Lake dredging, I put this as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 years. I put $50,000 a year. Well, again,
Yeah.
threw a number out there. I don't know what we're gonna spend.
We don't even know how we're gonna do it as of yet.
No,
That's correct.
Right, so
but we need to know. At least
I think you
planning
still have
wise.
to have the placeholder there, definitely.
Yeah.
And then we'll figure out which way we want to go.
Yeah. I mean, I assume probably we're going to contract it out. I don't know what it's going to cost.
Is that basically the number that we had in that plan? Do you remember?
That's pretty close, yes.
Okay.
But that was my wild.
Well, that's good. You
So
give us-
I came out of here and he came out of here. We'll see.
What did we have in the last dredging project? After the-
$230,000. But that was completely different. That was a dry lake bed. We took a chance. We took an opportunity to do probably $500,000 of dredging for 230 grand because it was dry dirt.
Well, that's why when I look at the 50,000 compared to what I know we paid then,
Yeah, I mean, it was a drastically much larger area too. We're talking
Right.
codes versus an entire north end. I mean, basically it went from about Jim Krieger's across to Blankenship's and then clear to the north end.
Wow.
But silt control ponds. This is just the actual construction of those. I know Sue's been working on those. I need to call her back. We're trying to figure out some easement issues. I just threw $10,000 in there. I put it for 2 different years. That was just basically hopefully our team being able to do that, or maybe have to subcontract that out depending on the reach of the backhoes. I just threw $10,000 in there.
we
over the
gotta
next
have
2 years.
something in there, but that's definitely the piece we gotta have in place before we start the dredging, or we're just gonna
Yep.
throw money away again, so.
Jim, why don't you just continue out that for 5 years also, once a year for 5 years? Because it sounds like it's going to be something that's ongoing. Have the placeholder there. If we don't use it, we don't use it, but at least have it there.
We can see it's gonna be an ongoing.
Oh, without a doubt.
10,000, because
Without a
we're
doubt.
gonna have to move some waterway and maybe create some terrace, slow the water down, and then get into the ponds and
Mhm.
keep the ponds cleaned out. Probably, maybe the first few years, because we're gonna stir dirt up, putting everything in, it may be an annual thing. Of having
For a
to clean
while.
them out.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe for the
For a
first
while.
couple, 3 years. I think that's a good choice.
All right, I'll add years 3 through 5. I just threw 2 years because I knew two key places that we've got to get that done.
Mhm.
Up there by the North Dock, and then between John Blankenship's and there's a little clubland lot stretch that comes down through there with a creek. But I can add years 2 through 5. The next several items, golf course, we got new irrigation feed line and pump. I got that for next year. I put $10,000. I put the replacement greens, hole 5 and 8. I put 5,000. Donor replacement green, I put 2,500. I know Eric Boysko out there in Cyber World is working on getting some additional help as far as helping our maintenance guys look at these greens and where we can put a new green. Do we need to do donor green first? I don't know what that's going to cost. Then down a little ways, you'll see I put $20,000 for additional irrigation lines, winter tees, additional ladies tees, and then year 4, I put cart path replacement at 25,000. I know that golf course committee's been really good about going for amenities money for golf for the cart pass, but I wanted to keep a placeholder in here in case we needed to kick some money in for that. Anybody got any ideas, timing wise?
I think on the new irrigation feed line and pump, it's probably gonna be 3 times that
I think it'd be 30 grand.
at least, yeah. I mean, depending on the size of it and the pump and everything and the distance. they go up
We're
there.
highly undersized right now, and I met with him the other night, and we're gonna go back to Rick and try to get some more definite numbers. He gave us some rough ideas of how they pump it out of the big lake to the smaller pond, then out of the pond to the irrigation. He says if he runs it hard in a day's time, it pretty much empties the little ponds.
Yeah, but you're just kind of going off of like a feel. I mean, do we calculate what our
Well,
required flow rate is?
that's what we asked him. So the questions we went back to him with were flow rates on the heads. Larry, I'm not even going to attempt to butcher his last name. He and I were both there with him the other night and very familiar with this on the rates, the size of the heads, whether they're full circle or half circle. And we need to kind of get some of those calculations down, and then we can size the pump. Obviously, it'd be great to dredge that line in to where it's above the surface right now, but we got 18,000 out here. Can you imagine what that run's going to be? I mean, something we can probably look at down the road. Maintenance says they drain it every year, so it's not a freeze issue as much as it is an aesthetics thing of not having the line on top of the ground.
Yeah.
Does that run through members' property currently?
Well, and then that was another question we brought up, is to ask Rick, how close does this run to right-of-ways that we have, and how much is through personal property where we'll have to go to them? And we know coming right onto the course where it comes up, that's private there. So, we'd have to ask for easements and permission to do some things, but
I assume it's dredged under the golf course to get to the pond, to get to the pump house.
it's gotta be. I
Gotta
don't,
be.
I don't see it laying above the ground anywhere.
I've not tripped over it yet. So, I mean, there's obviously some dredging or boring going to have to be done in the golf course.
Yep.
So we'll put 30 grand.
We're just trying to
Yeah,
get the numbers together on what we need, and then that's gonna determine what size pump you need. Whether we can stick with the 2-inch with a bigger pump and supply that, or to go to a 3-inch and a bigger pump altogether and not have to worry about it.
But you're gonna keep the original one that's in there, right?
Nothing's gonna go away until
So
we
you're
have
gonna-
something better.
But what would you just add a second one? That way you can have some redundancy.
Potentially we could. I don't know how long it is or what size, what kind of shape the stuff's in.
'Cause all that's.
These are a lot of questions we have to ask Rick, and unfortunately, with the road work and the golf course work going on right now,
Okay.
we may have to wait a little bit with Rick on that, but yeah, he was working with, just so we have more idea what we really need.
Yeah. And
Down the road, if we put more irrigation in, we're not going to be able to run out of the little ponds up on the course for a supply. Because he says they run a day now and then he can drain them. So we're going to have to look at bigger areas, deeper areas, if we're going to do that, or the installation of a tank and landscape around it or something like that. Unless we go to such a big system, we can push it clear up the hill and run that way. But generally, you're better off to have something in there that can withstand the pressure drops and things like that, where if you have a tank or something that's got head pressure. I think we lose a lot now because we're pulling it out of the lake up the hill, and then we're pushing it out of those ponds out to the course.
Yeah.
And I think we're losing a lot of gallons because of how we're moving it right now.
Yeah, you got a pretty steep elevation.
Yeah, we push it up and dump it in a hole, and then we're sucking it out of that hole and back onto the course. And it's worked very well for years. But if we, look at, I know when before I got on, we talked about adding some more irrigation to the course. If we're going to start new greens, we got to make sure we got water insufficient to do that. So a lot of good things come out of it. We just got to wait for Rick for a little more info.
Gotcha. I do not know that 5,000 might be awful low for replacement greens. I don't know what all that takes.
Yeah, see, we're
I have
still,
no idea.
I mean, I don't know if we tear the existing green up, replant it, then go 2 years with that's the cheapest route, probably tear that green up and just redo it and then put a temporary green. But we don't have any replacement greens right now.
Right. Do you think you guys would be able to have budget numbers by the end of the year?
I think we should have a very good idea, a lot closer than we can give you right now.
Okay.
I mean, at least if we know what the flow of water we need and how we can supply what size pipe and pumps, that's going to be the major expense. If we leave it on top of the ground, we don't have a dredging expense. But the dredging expense, I just can't see we can,
Me to worry.
or the boring. Yeah, I just don't see it in our budget when we know there's 18,000 no further than what this is. And
Yeah.
that's probably 4 times as long.
I mean, some of it too. I mean, it could be cheaper if you just did an open trench, right? If you just dug it.
Ditch switch it.
Yeah, you
You
dug
know,
it.
and they said they had one, but
We
I
ha-
think
To go across our golf course, we could just ditch switch it and rope it off till it's done. But
yeah, you're only talking, a couple feet at the most, trenching across, and we could work around that. But yeah, I mean, the biggest expense is going to be the pump and then the labor, whether we buy piping that we put together ourselves and run it up over the hill. We use the existing pipe if that 2-inch will carry, which I think it'll do more than what it's doing today, from what the numbers Rick gave us.
what size pipes there now?
I think it's 2-inch pipe.
2-inch.
Gotcha.
It's 2-inch now, which should run. We're running 80 some gallon through it now, but I think a lot of the loss is because we're coming up the hill and dumping it and then pulling it out of the pond. If we increase our pump size, I think we can get more efficient out of that 2-inch.
Get all my golf balls out of that pond, we'd have more space.
Well, that's kind of what I was thinking. I said, well, when do you drain that pond during irrigation? There's probably a lot of guys out there along the edge going to be scooping balls out, recovering their own balls, right?
All right, so I'll leave the 5,000, 2,500 for replacement greens until, I know Eric's working with some people to hopefully get some budget numbers together for that.
Well, we want to verify what type of green. We're assuming a bent grass green. And then asking Rick too, once he gets done with this, like you said, is there a place we can put a new green, continue with the old green until the new green and maybe change the outlay of the course a little bit by going to the side or in front or something like that? And that's just where we kind of got to get with Rick and Elmer and see what they think on it.
Gotcha. All right, Amazon apartment lockers.
Eric's with us now.
Yeah. I don't know if I can unmute him. I don't think it'll come in. We can try. I put $55,000 there. We can discuss that when we get to the security package building. Lake dredging, silt control pond, additional irrigation lines. 20 grand might not be near enough, depending on where they want to. I don't know where they want to run additional irrigation. Probably need a big schematic where we already have it, where we're lacking. So 20 grand may not cover that. Rest of the stuff is pretty mundane. Let's skip the package building for now. And then I got additional fencing, ORV airport area, 30 grand. That's something that's, we kind of talked about this for a while, blocking off like the airport. This would make Greg Lupo happy, basically running some type of fencing basically from along the edge of the airport so people couldn't access that area via cutting down through private property and putting some additional fencing up to keep people from accessing the RV track, the airport, shooting range area via the back of the property.
You're talking about on the backside of the creek?
Yeah, no, I don't know. We'd be able to fence that whole thing in, or what we do back there, but the biggest issue is people just coming right off of the road. They're just I think Greg does have some type of fence there, but they would just cut through there. They'd be right into the area with an ORV or where there's people riding down the roads and jumping in there. So there was a talk for a while trying to fence that in better to better secure the boneyard area.
It's really not going to be an aesthetic issue so much for where it's going to be. So, I mean, it may even, line fencing may work for something like that. So I think your price could be very manageable.
Gotcha. All right. Package issue, you know, we've kind of got some redundancy. If we build a new package building or new security building, which we had talked about 2 years ago, we just kind of started putting numbers together. We just didn't have the money to do package building the proper way. Determined it really wasn't a mold problem in existing buildings, so we kind of scrapped the idea for a while. But question becomes, do we want to try to have an Amazon locker system or build a bigger package building to house the packages all in one building and not have a package locker? So probably don't need both of these on the list. This is where I'm looking for input.
I think the better project is upgrading the appearance of the front gate as we're trying to work on there and getting a security building that is actually there, putting in facilities for the guys so they're not trudging across like it was 1920s to the outhouse, and then additional that to package. I mean, what we have now is not pretty. It's usable, and I think it's well presented until we can get a building built up there as a long term. I think your Amazon packages could look like a Band-Aid of a problem that we have, and we don't know how many we need, and what pitfalls we may end up even having with that system.
Well, let alone the fact
And we
that
lose control.
let alone the fact it's solely for Amazon, right?
No, I think the other carriers can use it.
If we put it in, then we grant who has access to it.
UPS and FedEx can use it. I don't know the logistics of how they transmit, your stuff's in locker 14
Yeah.
and send you a text with a code to get in that locker. But me, that system seems hopeful, but
Yeah, I'm not sold on it, so.
I'm not either. But JJ, what's your thoughts?
I'd rather put the money into a new building.
I would too. We when we ran the new septic system for that area, we put a sewer line. You'll see it sticking up. There's a sewer and water line already ran, with the thought that we would eventually put a package building, a new security building back farther. We might have to move the Connex box once we start construction. Just kind of slide it over and undo what we did, but just slide it over till it's done and get that out of there. The thought was keep the existing security building there till we're done and then demolish it, but put a building behind it. You just have to move the, you'd have to move all the gates back at that point.
Basically reconfigure the front entrance.
Yeah, you'd have to reconfigure it but we had it kind of all laid out. We didn't have all the details as far as like how security would come outside and greet guests and stuff, but. So do we want to
even
take
at that
the,
in the interim, waiting for the building, it seems like we have a good guy, Red, down there at the front gate, working with the packages. He seems to be very courteous. He's really starting to get his internal system. He's had some trials and tribulations, but now with our staffing up with everybody else, I think we can exist that way until we get him a facility built, because
all right,
the lockers
so-
are going to be delayed too, and that's a big cash outlay. We're never going to, it has no value once we build them, just to us.
Right, plus the money.
There's real property if we put a
Yeah,
new,
plus
a
the
new front
monthly fee
entrance.
on that too.
So we want to just take that off for now.
I think so.
I think that'd be
Now,
good.
I put a number of $300,000 into package building. I think that all depends on building prices at the time, what type of building we go with. We talked about doing a block type building. Might be able to do it stick frame cheaper. I don't know. If you're gonna go back, I mean, we talked about putting an office for Randall in there, a security bathroom. So they had their own private bathroom, and then obviously a lot of package area. But
So were you looking at something more like a storage structure with internal part of that putting into the office space and that?
Somewhat. I mean, it was just basically a bigger building with shelving in there for packages. But something obviously that looks nice. We don't build a pole barn.
Right.
Well, if you build the pole barn right, you can make it not look like a barn.
Yeah, I mean, you can build a pole barn type
Back here
structure.
on Pleasant View, this guy built him a pole barn down there, and basically what he did, he's got storage space there and living quarters in it, and he made it look quite nice. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm not saying that's what we're going to do, but
And that may be the cheaper route and decide it with T111, paint it nice, and it could look
then
nice.
internally,
Well, that Hardy
that's where we could put the
but-
internal offices
Hmm.
and space.
Not right.
Mhm.
T111 kind of paint, but
That's why they make this stuff called hardy board.
that might be the better option.
But anyway,
So I put 3 years down there. That would be a 2024 project.
It's fair.
you think we could get that designed and quoted and everything in 2 years?
In 2024 to build it 2024,
Yeah.
or you talking about moving it up a year in
No,
2023?
you're gonna spend the next part of 2 years of, the design and
Permits and
permits and everything like that, right? So
Yeah.
we're gonna have some money spent in that time period too.
So I think that's kind of what I was getting ready to go to, is not only money spent, but we do need to add notes to all these so that we know, okay, to have a building done and paid for in 24, we got to start by June of 22.
Right.
Planning,
Plans and
preparing,
concepts.
all that good stuff. And same thing with a lot of this golf course. So I mean, Jim, this is perfect, spot on for what we need to plan. And whether we hit the numbers every year or not, it at least allows us to be ahead of the curve and not
Mhm.
behind the curve all the time. And so,
Do we
This
want
is
to put
great.
$50,000 in 2022 for design and layout? Because we had started. I mean, you have to have architectural drawing.
yeah,
Because this has to be a state approved project.
yeah, we could pull some out of that.
You could pull the locker money into
Yeah,
that
put that-
for,
2022 was in
Yeah.
2023, push that over to 2022 and just,
And then I would put another 50 grand in 23. Right, and are we gonna want to do anything with the post office building there and the parking lot and all that stuff too, while we're going through that? So you kind of redo the whole front end, or the front entrance, I mean.
Too soon to tell, but yeah, let somebody
Somebody
play with
look
the
at
whole
it.
site plan first. And yeah.
All right, so I'll put security plant, building plans, 50,000 in 2022. You think you need something additional in 2023 or?
Yeah, I'd put another 50 in there because it's not gonna just sit idle for a year.
But you can pull some of that 50 out of the 300.
300, yeah.
Yeah.
Make that 250,
Yeah.
but you
50,
think there
20.
needs to be how much in 2022?
50, 2022, 50 in 2023, and then put the 250 in 2024.
So what would we call that? Security
Prep,
building
planning,
prep?
whatever.
New building prep.
concept and planning, whatever you,
We'll know what it is. You'll know what it is.
We got your phone number.
I think that's a good plan.
Okay. What additional items are we missing? Because I do want to get this out, share it with the board, share it with the Long Range Planning Committee.
What about some improvements for the maintenance building?
Yeah. I don't know if they're in the depreciation. That's almost something we almost need to kind of look, because I'm also concerned we don't have anything other than the electrical coming to this building.
Yeah.
But I don't remember if any of that's in depreciation or not already covered.
I don't think so.
Okay.
There's not a lot in there for lodge. It's mostly the equipment of
Yeah.
the kitchen equipment.
That's it. Okay.
I mean, I think the septic system might be in there. Maybe the, might be like the well or something, that system, but, so what do we need for maintenance? Let's cover maintenance first.
Well, I think we need to do some additions there, right, and improvements on the building for the guys for the facilities.
Well, do you want well and septic and then the next year put like a full bathroom in there, a shower?
Yeah, unless we can do something different over from the front part, right? You take part of that parking lot, expand that building and just create a locker room for the staff,
Mhm.
right? Just a thought.
All right, so I got maintenance, well and septic. Let's just call it maintenance, building upgrades.
Yeah.
And I think the plumbing would be good, but we want to put it in such a place and position it so that, I mean, it doesn't make good sense. Go down and look at the building and walk around it inside and out. And I mean, it's almost to the point you don't want to add too much to it or I mean, it's just in pretty old,
Yeah, it's all cobbled
weak state,
together.
you know?
Yeah.
You know, they've had to add this building and add this section here just to kind of meet the demands over the years.
Yeah, we did re-roof that a few years ago. And then, but we did look at it a few years ago as far as like, can we move maintenance? Can we build a new building? And there really wasn't a lot of additional layout there to do that. But we did put a new roof on it and some improvements.
Right, but if there's, because they don't have any facilities, right? If they have to spend the night here or something.
They have beds in there, but they have to basically, if they want to use a shower
They have to
or
go
the
up.
toilet, they have to go up to the front.
They have running water, that's all they have.
Yeah. So, maybe, like I said, maybe it's something of combining those two. But I think we need to make some sort of allotment for some improvements or
So-
whatever that is.
I'll put building upgrades 50 grand. What do we want to do for the well and septic? What year target?
'23.
So that would be
Yeah, we
2
should get
years.
that out of the way before we get the 24 for the front.
Yeah.
And then you would do the upgrades the next year.
Can we afford it in that year?
I don't know.
Looks like it's
We'll
pretty
plot it
much-
out. Once we plot this stuff out, we'll start moving it around based on what we can afford.
Okay.
All right, so got a couple items for maintenance building. What else do we have?
I mean, I think we've had this roof looked at, but it's,
Don't look right, does it?
yeah, and even if it's okay now, it's gonna need some work.
They don't last forever.
They don't last forever, so
So
at
Lodge
least get it
Road-
on the list even out to 2026 or 7, but at least we're thinking about it.
What do you think cost the roof of this
Oh,
building?
geez.
60 grand?
And
I don't think that would catch it.
I don't think so.
I think it's gonna be
A house
out
is
to
gonna
that.
be 12 grand, and so
Yeah.
What?
Maybe add 100 to that.
Let's go. You really, 150?
I mean, who knows?
who knows?
Let's just put 150 and we can,
Yeah.
can always get it quoted, but
I think with that, we got to look at some of the structural too. If you go on the back deck and start looking at some of the exposed beams out there,
Soffits and such.
Well, and you just look
they're,
around.
they're looking rough.
You just look around in here too, right? I mean, this is 50 years old, right?
so lodge soffits, let's call it lodge soffit and exterior.
Exterior roof and, yeah,
Yeah.
we got to keep the water out.
Mm-hmm.
Split 50 grand to that. Should put that in year 4, 2025, or put that in the same year as the roof.
25 looks good.
Yeah,
I mean, like,
I don't
we
think
got to
they'd
get
have to
real
do it
numbers so
together.
we
Yeah.
can
Yeah.
switch them back and forth, but there's a placeholder there.
What number are you putting on that?
I was going to put
150.
50 grand year, be 4 years. So it'll be that'll push it to 2025, 2026 for the roof. What else are we not thinking of? Pool
Yeah, when are we? That
Now,
was kicked
pool-
around.
depreciation. And about 3 or 4 years ago, we put a new, basically resealed the pool. You got to put a whole, it's like an epoxy, floor to it. And I think it lasts 7, 8 years, I believe. Memory. I think it was about 12 grand. I don't know. I do not know if that's on the depreciation though. It might be.
Okay.
But, I'm just throwing ideas. Tennis court,
That's a damn year.
front, you got the front package, you got the front, post office / bathrooms. Those could stand an upgrade. Be more of a commercial bathroom versus a,
Yeah.
I can put it on the list.
Those are lifesavers, by the way, especially when you're working on your cabin.
So let's just put front post office.
Well, I mean, the idea is behind this to get it on paper so that we talk about it over the next few years.
Yep.
I'll just put 60 grand for that. We'll just put it out to year 6 for now.
It just takes us out of going, I don't know what we're gonna do.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, the equipment's plain. We see how it depreciates and goes away. You sometimes forget the bricks and mortar buildings and the substantial stuff that's here and been here a long time, and we got to start putting back into that stuff.
Mhm.
So we'll have really great equipment and no place to eat.
Yep.
All right. JJ, got anything you want to add?
No, I was just looking on depreciation. I see the filters for the pool, but I don't
You don't
see,
see the,
I don't see that right now.
so we need to have the pool
Pool liner.
bottom resurfaced.
Yeah, just put pool liner. We'll understand.
I think it was, I'm
I
going to say.
don't think it's been that
15
many
grand.
years ago because I recall and sitting in when you guys were talking about that.
Maybe it was 3 years ago. So let's put 5
3 to
years.
5.
Let's put 5 years on that.
Push
I don't
this
know.
out.
I don't know what the pump system is on there. Is that on there at all? I know we replaced some pumps a few years ago.
For the pool?
Yeah.
No, it just says filters. Free.
Gotcha. Okay. So we'll put pool liner. And we can put pool filtration system, which includes a pump.
Filtration, yes.
I'm sure the long range planning committee is going to have some things they want to add.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Anything else to add to this?
I think it would be good and we can keep it in our brain, but like now we have a minimum fund for the capital fund and I can't remember what it is, 300 and anyway, I'd like to change that to, looks like we got 203,000 a year. I'd like to work to a minimum in a couple years of 1.5 times that. So 310, something like that.
Yeah.
And just have that on here just so that's
Goal.
it's a goal and a
It's a
toggle
place
of a
to be.
goal. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. Not only do you,
Inflation's going to take the prices up on everything we do anyways. If we don't plan, we're headed for that.
right.
That's a good
Yeah.
point.
Not only do you not want to get the number under that, we owe it to our membership to spend the money they're giving us and not let the fund get a whole lot bigger than that. I mean,
Right. Keep it
There's a
spent down,
balance.
but
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, we were putting about 16.9 in that fund monthly.
Okay.
So if you took 16.9 times 1.5, you try to get that to 25 grand a month times 12, you're at about 304 a year.
Okay. I was just seeing this 203 here.
Yeah.
I didn't know. Yeah. But anyway,
We were originally putting 5% of the assessment. So if you took 1.6 times 0.05, we were trying to put 80 grand and we upped it basically at almost 10%.
Yeah.
Is kind of the rationale. Once we passed the assessment, we told the membership, hey, a lot of that's going to go in capital so we can do some of these projects that need to be done.
Mhm.
So I think that should be a part of the budget discussion. Come December when Jeff gets the budget together, can we actually afford 25 grand a month into the capital plus still fund depreciation?
Mhm.
All right. Anything else we
Yeah,
want
but
to add?
remember that as a goal too, when we get to that budget, to
Yeah.
try to get there, if we need to tweak something someplace else even.
Anything else?
It's a good plan.
No,
I think it's good. Good
Okay.
start.
I'll get this updated, sent out. We'll take another look at it and then, take another look at it and then we'll share it with the board, long range plan and get their thoughts. What about lighting security up by the dock? Didn't think about that. That's something we want to put on here?
What do you want to do with the lighting?
I don't know.
You know, if there's really not a whole lot you could do there to make, or I should say, adding more lighting, you're gonna make it look more institutional, right?
And we did, when
I
we
think
did the
what
dam, we put those lights because they
Right.
look good.
Yeah, they look good and it gives it a nice atmosphere up there at night. So
So two things aesthetically would look better. Now that this LED technology is very reliable and the price is way down from what it was when it started. Even if we would put strip lighting LEDs down each dock, which would give more light on each boat. And I guess aesthetically, it would look nice if you had the docks outlined maybe and kill two birds. It's not going to be a cheap process, but we know from past when we tried to put up security lots or spotlights, well, then somebody across the lake was getting too much light and totally understand that. You didn't move down here to have, like say, institutionalized, look like a football stadium.
You mean
the
like
darker
these out
sky.
here in the parking lot?
All right.
So, well, just what you said, though, was a good thing that maybe we should put on there, are like dock improvements, right? Because those are getting pretty worn.
Some of that.
Even with my
some of
limited
that,
experience on the docks.
Well, you quit running into them.
yeah. So I was gonna say, if he keeps ramming into them. JJ, do we have anything on depreciation? I don't have that handy for, the docks. Cause I know when we buy them, we were putting those on that list. Is it, you're right, they do.
Yes, you have docks 2009 year purchased, estimated replacement 80,000.
So there should have been another docks section bought in 2016 or 17. Because we added an additional 12 pod of docks, I think to dock F.
Okay. You're only no, you're showing 2009,
Yeah,
not 19.
maybe that
Yeah,
didn't get on.
2009, 17, 19.
Wait, hold on. Then there's 2007. Yeah, this is just
Yeah,
about
the seven's there and then there's,
So there's some not in
2006.
depreciation.
Yeah.
Some of that, I think the docks actually fall under depreciation, but we could call it dock improvements.
There is one for 2017. The rest were prior.
Yeah, 2017 would have been that last pod. It was about 30 grand.
28.5.
well, Rick could tell you more than anybody, but they're constantly walking the docks or looking for bad boards. We found one on Sea Dock and, it just all of a sudden happens. I think they do a lot of work and I don't know what the structure under the wood decking even looks like. I don't know what's the years on I'm guessing they've been here a while.
Some of them have been.
They've been here longer than me.
I don't know if you can replace the floats underneath them and keep the metal structure. I don't know. Let's just put dock improvements,
I think
30
they might
grand.
have something in there.
We'll put that out at, let's just go for year 6, 2027. Just keep it on the list. All right. I think that's a good list. Great. Try to update that in the next couple
Well, we're
days.
doing a good job putting a plan together to spend money.
All right. Chip seal update. Rex.
Yes, so 2020 Enterprises has been behind due to weather, but they will be here tomorrow. We apologize for the late notice. We wanted to give more, but when they called and said we got our last job done quicker than we thought, we're not going to send them elsewhere. So starting tomorrow, the project should take a day and a half. If things go well, they'll be done today. If it's doesn't go well, it'll take 2 days. We're going to do the main moto pave section, which runs from the front guard shack all the way to Bremen Gate. And that, don't know why they did this when they designed the place, but that is, street names are Hideaway Hill Lane, Aztec Lane, Lodge Lane, Winnebago, and Tillamook. It
It's
could have
all
been
the same
done,
thing.
it could have been done better. But
Could've
that's
been
okay.
Holly.
Osage Lane, Maya Lane, Iroquois, Winton Court, the little clubhouse loop there. I don't think we've got anybody living on that. Coosa, Fox Lane and Crow, and I hope I say this right, Otto. Those will be done. As part of the chip seal, again, the roads will remain open until the crew comes through. If you need to travel on that road for a little bit, you may be held up. If you have cars or boats or trailers or anything parked or stacked within 3 foot of the edge of the road, I'd suggest you get it moved tonight or in the morning. If it's parked on the road, definitely get it moved so we don't have to come back and, well, we can't come back. They won't come back. We can't afford that. So it'll just, that section of road won't be sealed if someone's parked on it, and that's all there is to it. So, I just want to talk about real quick. We have a road plan. I heard we saw some discussion on Facebook. We have a road plan. The plan is to keep our good roads in good condition first, and then we'll get back in and start working on the narrow roads, the really rough roads. I'm trying to get some pricing to do that. But right now, that stretch of the Motopave was starting to see some, I won't say wear because it's not wear, but the seal that was on there in a few sections was starting to lose its effectiveness, and we do not want water into that to ruin it. So this was the best time to preserve that. The good thing is we shouldn't have to touch it again for another 5 years. Same thing on what we chip sealed last year. We won't need to touch it for 3 or 4 more years, and what we'll chip seal next year. And my plan is once we get through next year, getting all these main routes taken care of, then we'll go into the, I guess for lack of a better term, into the neighborhoods and start getting some of these rough areas done. We can get some widening done on some of the narrow sections. It's going to be expensive. We'll spend a bunch of money and you won't see a lot done for a few years, but it's got to be done. And then once these roads, main routes start to need chip sealing again, we'll come back and start doing those. So, that's kind of where we're at. Any questions?
I'm good.
Great explanation, because I know we were going to see, they just did Hideaway Hills Lane. What do you mean they're doing it again?
Yep.
But if we don't and concentrate, like you said, on the other ones, now we're going to be like starting all over in
That's
5
right.
years on everything.
Yep.
And we can't go backwards on the road.
Can't go backwards.
It's-
And we spent a lot of money in that Motopave. It was about $300,000 Motopave there.
Yep.
3
And
sections to do that. So
I wish we could do that on the other side of the lake. And with the curves and the hills, we're going to have to come up with another solution over there. And I'm working on that. So
good. Thank you, Rex. Appreciate the vote.
Not forgotten, just takes more planning.
yeah,
Those roads are different than other.
they are.
Any questions on Motopave?
Nope. Thank you, Rex.
Hopefully everyone gets everything moved tonight.
Yes.
Fall clean, general updates, just Jeff's notes. Fall cleanup, October 6th to the 13th. So it's a Wednesday to a Wednesday. Get your piles accumulated. There will be a pile over by the equipment for scrap metal. Again, no tires, no batteries, no toxic stuff. Just bring your junk.
No refrigerators, Freon air conditioners.
I don't know. Is that on the list?
Well, anything that's got Freon on it legally has to be captured.
Yeah, I don't
I
know.
don't know if I didn't think we took appliances in the past. Anything with.
That
Freon
might be on the list
What
too.
about computers?
I don't know. I don't think that's on the list of excluded items, so that might be okay. So, everyone just try to keep that area somewhat organized so maintenance doesn't have to spend all day cleaning it up, but they are aware of it coming.
I
Uh,
want to put a plea in for the recycle bins too. I think our recycling down here is the right thing to do for our world. I guess I want to growl a little bit. People, please break down cardboard. I mean, you go down on the weekend, you know, and I have this stack of folded down cardboard and I pull up to the recycling bins and there's full boxes still in there and you can't get anything else in them. Jim, what are we paying for recycling? What are the members paying for this recycling?
I think it's about 12 grand a year.
12 grand a year. So while it's the right thing to do, we want to make sure everybody has the opportunity to take advantage of that.
Yeah.
And some people look like they're just dumping garbage in there and it has plastic water bottles in it. So that's not recycling. We don't need all that other crap in there with it.
Yep.
But it is a big expense for the club and each member to have that privilege and having it right here for us. It's just, please try to break your cardboard down. And I
agree.
just hate to see them overflowing and there's nothing in them.
Yep. And another item, security is actually fully staffed as of yesterday.
Great.
So it's a good thing.
You see them out, welcome the new guys.
Yeah.
I've met a couple of them and we're doing better.
Yeah. I think increasing the salaries has helped the hiring process, hopefully.
Say that again.
Increasing the salaries has upped the hiring process,
Yes.
helped.
We want to make sure membership knows that we are taking care of our employees. And in talking with a couple of them, while we haven't heard anything direct from them, there is great appreciation for the ones that have been around for a while. They understood before, but we all have bills to pay and they're really appreciative of that. And membership needs to know we are following that promise that when Jim put this whole thing on and started for the increase and they worked on that, that was one of the big things and it is happening. We're not going to divulge what everybody makes, but
It was increased.
it was definitely increased. Yes.
We value our security staff
And maintenance and everything.
and maintenance and our office staff and our lodge staff and our clubhouse staff.
Yes. We didn't leave anybody out, did we?
I hope not.
Our pool staff.
Cool staff. All right. Lodge updates. The fall menu scheduled to begin next week. Kind of excited for a couple items on there.
Me too.
I volunteered to try the fish tacos. Be a test dummy. So I encourage everyone to get up there and support the change in the menu. Try some new things. Like our lodge kitchen staff's doing a great job, especially in this period of difficult hiring. I think we've done a great job. We are trying to put together some plans for a New Year's Eve celebration so we can actually have that at the lodge. It's always a tough night to staff, so we're trying to come up with a plan that, knowing that it's a difficult night to staff. Anything else about the lodge?
We, last week we got approval from the Board of Trustees to get the Food Service Committee up and moving again. We've had 2 meetings. We have a lot of things that we're looking at. The first thing that we would like to do, though, is to make sure the amenity monies that were approved for this year can be rolled over for next year due to the fact that we really didn't have the committee up and running again, and there was closures and things like that. So we would just like to freeze that amenities money, move it over to the following year. And we're looking at more of a long-term plan too. There's a lot of little things we want to do, but then there's going to be some big ticket items. So we're working on that. Hopefully we can put something together and report it, maybe by next month or something.
Good. We'll just need to ask the board to roll that money over so it doesn't go into the amenities calculation for this year.
Can that be turned into each amenities funds instead of carrying it over? You're the professional bean counter guy, so I mean, does that cause a problem when we roll that over? I know we've always
No,
tried
it
to
just-
stay away from it.
The board can approve to roll it over because they're the ultimate approver of those amenities funds. They can approve to roll it over. It's not as big a deal now because normally you would say, well, we've got 140 grand, board approved to roll that over. So now we've got 136 or whatever it was to roll. if you rolled $4,000 over, you take that out. But now, since it's capped at 75, I think that money can just roll in the new member piece. The new fund will just be 75. That'll be up for grabs from the committees. I believe that's the way it'll work. So I don't think it shouldn't affect the 75 that's earmarked for amenities.
Well, I think every committee probably had a project they didn't get to, one because of supply or manpower or a lot of different,
The costs.
So
just because of the last almost 2 years we've been
Mhm.
going through.
So JJ, we'll just need to get that amount that's left, and Penny can get that for us in the office. And if we're going to roll that whole thing over, we just need to put a
Right.
request into the board. Whoever your board rep is can bring that to committee, and I'll support that, and we can get that officially approved. That way, it's not in the amenities calculation.
Okay.
And I appreciate you stepping up and taking the food service chairman job. And
Do what we can.
yeah, any update on our beer?
Yeah, well, yes and no. We have the ability to,
It sounded fair to me.
yeah, we have the ability to get the beer out of the tanks to the kegs. Just don't know how yet. We're setting something up where I can at least learn how to do it, and then we'll go from there.
Gotcha.
But with that being said, once we get the lager out, we'll have to look at getting the pale ale in
Okay.
and brewed.
In the meantime, I think we're doing a good job with guest beers.
Yeah.
So, any discussion on an outside brewer? Brewing for
We've
it.
been talking with Double Edge. They seem very interested in that. And they're also the ones that cleaned our kegs for us at a very, very good price.
Good.
So
Very good. Synergies are good.
Yeah. Any other lodge updates we want to discuss?
staffing,
Staffing's always a struggle.
yeah.
Same story, different day.
The lack of, I should say, not the staffing itself, the lack of.
Well, we have Mr. Zigfoos that'll be back on the trail. I know he's the fan favorite, he tells me.
I'm the best host ever. Not really.
But through the winter months, we'll all be able to bolster that and help him out on the weekends.
Okay. Clubhouse updates. We are reducing staffing down to one person per shift most days. Business levels are significantly lower this time of year as we go into the colder months. The golf course leads have all been wrapped up, so trying to staff that accordingly. Stuff we have.
When were we looking to change the hours? Was that going to be November 1st, or were we looking to
I
sooner or later?
told Jeff just to kind of monitor business levels and make that call. We get some nice days in October. It's worth staying open as it gets colder. But I think November 1st is probably when we'll go to winter, what we call winter hours. That's when the smoking flips back over where the people are allowed to smoke on the back deck.
Right.
So it kind of it's a natural date to follow that. But if we get a cold spell in October, he may just flip the hours as the business declines.
So right now, we're going to look at November 1st unless the numbers show otherwise.
Correct.
Right.
Well, again, we're still going to be faced with a lot of variables as the news is so eloquent now to start the rampage of people of everything in the world's going to be short again.
Mm-hmm.
If we can't get supplies to keep things open, even our food vendors over the last few months, we've had issues with it. And
Yeah.
we just don't want members to think that we're shutting the clubhouse down because it's a lesser place or anything, but as the hours are reduced, it's for a business reason.
Yeah, and we've always lowered the hours, gone to winter hours just because of business
I mean,
reasons. So
to be open on Wednesday night if 2 people come in just doesn't seem like it always rolls best for all membership and the incomes.
Well, especially when we have the lodge open on Wednesday nights, so.
Yep. Not trying to start a feud.
No.
Dividing
I
the people
believe
out.
me.
I'm just saying as the business goes and watching this, we
Right.
we have to make these decisions because of the business, not because somebody's better than somebody or this person prefers this place.
okay. All right, that's all for the agenda. Anybody have anything they want to bring up, share?
No, I think we're good.
All right. we'll conclude the meeting. I don't have anything for executive either, so we'll call the meeting done.
Thank y'all.
Thank you.
Thanks, Baker.
Thank you.
Thanks, crowd. Thank you. Now you guys exit slowly, single file. Okay?
Drive careful.